This is The Whole Truth, brought to you by the Greenville County Democratic Party. From local city councils and school boards to the South Carolina legislature and the nation, we provide a clear-eyed view of the whole truth surrounding the decisions, the policies, and the politics that have a direct impact on your family, your neighbors, and you. Just recently on November 4th, we had the great joy of watching Lillian Flemming and Tina Belge, both wonderful Democrats, get elected to the Greenville City Council. It felt spectacular to have all of our combined efforts pay off with this victory. We at the Greenville County Democratic Party offer a heartfelt thank you to all of those people who contributed by canvassing door-to-door, phone banking, text banking, organizing volunteers, driving canvassers, distributing palm cards, posting yard signs, poll watching, working the polls, promoting candidate content on social media, contributing financially to campaigns, attending candidate appearances at their events, hosting house parties, and organizing campaign fundraisers. The point was to spread the word about these two candidates, to convince a lot of people to help the campaigns, and to convince voters to get out and vote. It worked, and they won. We won. It took a lot of people getting out of their comfort zones and becoming civically active. In talking with many of these people, most all of them were surprised how much fun and rewarding their efforts were. It's now time to help spread that joy. As I record this, the nonpartisan runoff elections in Simpsonville and Fountain Inn are taking place. The nonpartisan nature of the seats does not mean that the candidates are nonpartisan. If you haven't voted, be sure you do so we can keep the Freedom Caucus, MAGA-minded, GOP-endorsed candidates away from our cities. There are still two special elections to occur later this year, and you may notice that there are no Democratic candidates on the ballot. Being an officer in the local county party, we hear extremely frequently complaints like, why don't we have any Democrats on the ballot? Why isn't the Democratic Party doing anything about it? Let me tell you, we would love to replicate ourselves and run for all of those offices in all of those very districts. But the reality is that the people in each community are the ones who need to rise up, raise their hands, and run for local office in order to take our country back from the brink. It's not somebody else who needs to run. We need you to give serious thought right now about running for local offices and boards to serve your community. Additionally, you can't wait until October of next year to think about it. It does take some preparation and work to get there from here. It may seem so early to start talking about the next elections. The midterms aren't till November 2026, but the reality is that true civic engagement is an ongoing effort. We must not rest on our laurels because the opposition is already rallying efforts to defend against the gains the Democrats have made this year. And the stakes of this next election, well, if you're tuning into this podcast, you probably already know how high they are. In this episode, Stacy and Charles interview a wonderful guest who has started her run for the election to the seat of the South Carolina 4th US Congressional District. As of the official kickoff on October 21st, Courtney McClain is running to replace the current GOP incumbent, William Timmons. She was born in South Carolina. She graduated from Spartanburg High School right here in the upstate. She earned her Bachelor of Arts degree in Journalism and Communications from USC Columbia. She then went on to Howard University to earn her Master's of Arts graduate degree in Political Science with a concentration in American government. Her experience beyond those degrees has paved a solid path, preparing her for this race, with experience both in the South Carolina State House and on Capitol Hill with the U.S. House of Representatives. She's been an intern with the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, a page with South Carolina House of Representatives. She's lobbied the South Carolina House and South Carolina Senate on issues surrounding women's reproductive rights, gun violence, voter suppression, historically black colleges and universities, and educational censorship in K through 12 and higher education. She also completed the Fannie Lou Hamer Government Relations Fellowship with the Congressional Black Caucus Institute. As a journalist, Ms. McClain has reported on politics, government affairs, and culture as both a live reporter and an anchor for Carolina News. She's even had the privilege of reporting on Vice President Harris's visit to South Carolina. Here now are the GCDP chair and the third vice chair, Stacey Mars and Charles Morris.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to The Whole Truth. And it has been a while, but that's okay because we have a fantastic person here with us today. We have Courtney McClain, who is running in Congressional District 4. And I am excited for Courtney for a number of reasons, but mostly because she's an Emerge sister and a Clyburn Fellow.
Woo.
Yeah. Okay.
Rising star, future superstar of the Democratic Party.
Keep going. Is that it?
Is going to win. She's going to beat William Timmons. She's going to be our new representative in the 4th District.
Yes.
Absolutely. All of that. Welcome, Courtney.
Thank you.
So, we're just going to go ahead. We're going to jump right in. Tell us why you decided to do this. What was the moment that pushed you from advocacy into deciding to run for Congress? Because you've got a nice resume. Like, I've seen your videos. They're really awesome. So talk to us about that.
Thank you. I would say, so everything started back when I was 19 with, I think everyone may be familiar with Sheriff Chuck Wright.
Oh, yeah.
Or former.
Future inmate.
Yes. So it started off with him, and it was during the height of the 2020 Black Lives Matter movement. And so there was an incident where his deputies pulled over 2 black men. They claimed they had weapons and drugs and all this other stuff and pulled out guns on them. And of course, it turned out they did not have any of those things.
So racial profiling.
Exactly. Yeah. And so he refused to apologize. And the community was like, okay, you found out that they did not have any of these things. You drew guns on them. You could have possibly killed them. You should at least apologize. And Chuck Wright was like, I'm not going to apologize. So that was the first time that I've ever written a petition. I wrote a petition and got signatures from people in the community. And I presented it at county council. And I still have the video up on my Instagram. But when I was presenting the signatures and talking about why he should apologize, if you look in the back of the video, he literally gets up and leaves in the middle of me talking and just walks out. And so really since then, that's when I realized the power of the collective, especially when it comes to community, and then also the power of speaking up and just being the person to actually speak truth to power. And so since then, I've just been able to really boost my advocacy at USC, in DC, in various spaces in South Carolina. And that really pushed me into wanting to be more involved with politics, because I realized that advocacy can only go so far because we don't have that vote. Right. And we're just going to constantly be in a space of trying to persuade people to vote in our interests. But if we have someone who is actually there who represents our interests, then we won't have to work so hard of, oh, please, we want to have fair housing. We really want to have healthcare. Like, please do this. And just have someone who's like, okay, this is a right for everyone. You should be able to have access to public education and not have to go through all these barriers that are holding you behind. And so that's what drew me to public office. And then just really wanted to create change in Spartanburg and Greenville. So
you mentioned wanting to run because you want this district to have a voice, somebody who stands up for your values. So you're clearly part of a wave of young progressives all across the country that are running and winning. So what drew you to the progressive movement? What built those values in you? And then I also saw an article where you mentioned Zoran Mamdani, who just won the New York mayorship.
Yes.
How has he inspired you?
I would say Zoran, while he's not a Gen Zer, he is younger, and he's one of the youngest mayors in New York's history. And so I think just seeing how he was able to create such a strong movement at his age, really going against a titan within the New York sphere of politics, I think that's something that really drew me to say that this can happen here, because he started off at 1% and then he ended up leading in double digits. So he was counted out. And I think when people look at a red state, they look at a red district, they see a woman of color who's 24 years old running, they automatically count me out that, oh, she has no chance of winning.
You feel like they don't take you serious?
I think people want me to win, but I think in the back of their minds, they're preparing themselves for kind of like a Kamala Harris moment, because while they know they want me to be there, they don't know if we could actually pass that threshold. And so what I really want to accomplish within this next year is show them that we can pass that threshold, and that victory is not some foreign concept in a red district, and that we can really do this as long as we have the people who come out that will actually help us. And I think that's also something that I've really noticed, is that a lot of the support that I've been getting, especially like donations wise, have been coming from people from outside of the state, which I find really interesting, because I would think that people who are commenting like, oh, I'm from South Carolina, I really want to help. It's like, oh, well, could you also help financially? Like, do you not feel like, I guess they feel like, oh, I'll just say I really like it, but I don't really have the inclination to fund you because I don't know if you're actually going to win this. Whereas people, especially from like New York, they've been really vocal, like, hey, we just got New York City, like I want to help you, I want to send you money. And I just really wish we had that same atmosphere in Spartanburg and Greenville. But I think a lot of people have just been beaten down over these past couple of decades, and they just think, even if I do give money, even when we have incredible candidates, do I know if we're actually going to win or not? And so I just hope to really bring hope to a lot of people and use the movement that we have been building and just make it bigger and bigger, and continue to tailor it to progressive policies and not do the flip flop, but continuing to go along with what my platform is, not watering it down, because that's what really brings in genuine supporters. And I think people are able to see that I'm genuine. I'm not making up policies that I don't believe in. And so I really hope to just carry that in over this next year.
And show people we don't have to accept losing.
Yes.
Progressive policies
yes.
are winning policies.
Yes, of course.
So talk a little bit more about your platform. You said you're not going to change it or water it down, but tell people what that platform is.
Yeah, so my platform, I've been trying to work on making it sound a little bit more simple, so it's not filled with political jargon. But some of the main things is making sure that we have homes that we can afford, education without barriers, and healthcare without hardship. So those are the three main pillars. And then, of course, we have a 10-point platform. So if anyone wants to go read all of those, you can read all of the other points as well.
Where can I read that?
At McClainforsc.com. Yes. And that's also the names of all the socials is pinned on there as well. But those are our main three pillars, is making sure that everyone has access to quality healthcare. That's the whole reason why we were in a 40-day and 40-night shutdown, because we were trying to get those subsidies, which we ended up not getting, which was very disappointing. But that is something that a lot of people in the upstate are reliant on. Literally thousands of people here are reliant on those subsidies, as well as with Medicaid. And then we also have so many people that were on SNAP who were having to go to Harvest Hope, having to go to their churches, having to go to local food banks. And I really want healthcare to not be something that is just for the people who can't afford it, but a right for all people, because we are the wealthiest nation in the country. Why are people struggling to pay for their medications? Why are they having to die waiting for care purely because they don't have a specific type of insurance? That should not be a problem that we have here. And then with public education, I graduated from a public institution just 2 years ago, and after that, I went to a private institution. So I was really able to see the differences in funding and also just the scholarship opportunities and funding opportunities. And I really want everyone who wants to get a higher education to have a level playing field. And I think that's increasing funding to our Pell Grants, increasing funding for financial aid instead of cutting this and cutting all the programs and telling them, oh, just go to a trade school. Like, everyone should have the opportunity to get a higher education and not be siloed to, oh, well, you can be an HVAC person, or really just pushing people down into trade jobs as opposed to someone who wants to become a doctor, become a lawyer. They should have that option regardless of their income and background. And obviously not talking down on the HVAC people, because we definitely need you guys, but in the way that it's being...
They also make money.
Yes, they do. They really do. But it's the way that it's being pushed to a specific demographic of people that is our only option,
Right.
that is where the problem comes in. And then, of course, the last one would be affordable housing. I actually just found out that South Carolina has one of the highest eviction rates in the country. We have one of the highest foreclosure rates in the country. Mm-hmm. And in Greenville, more people are renting homes than they are actually buying homes now. And so that is something that not only is impacting my generation because we're coming out of college unable to afford places to live, but it's also impacting older people, it's impacting disabled people. And I think that making sure that all of these corporations aren't buying up houses and just throwing them up and then pricing everyone who was already there out of their neighborhoods. We need to make sure that we have safeguards in place. And I really think, of course, that boils down to the county level and city level who are allowing all of these places to come in and buy up all of this land and build these different apartments, but making it a national. I really wanted to, a piece of legislation that I wanted to pass was a National Bill of Rights for tenants. And that would stop the no cause bans for evictions, and then also passing it to where everyone would have counsel for if you are being evicted or if they are hiking up your rent and you had already signed a contract saying, oh, well, I thought this wasn't going to happen and now it is. And really just making it to where all of the houses that are being thrown up aren't going to price out everyone who is already here. And I think Greenville and Spartanburg are growing, and they're growing because of all the people that are moving in. But we can't just solely tailor those who are moving in. We have to also think about the people who have been here supporting the growth for generations. And that builds into affordable housing and making sure people can live to stay here and not be pushed out into the counties or into other areas. So I think those would be the biggest 3 points that I would have. But yeah.
So investing in the working class.
Yes.
In communities. I want to go back for just a second and kind of piggyback on something you mentioned, which was the healthcare subsidies. Mm-hmm. So essentially, we have a group of 8 U.S. senators who caved on the shutdown in exchange for the promise of a vote in a couple of weeks. I've never understood a deal where you give up something massive for nothing tangible in return, but it's a promise of a vote that's not going to go away.
Yes.
But I guess what I'm getting to is, how do you see, because the way the Democratic Party is viewed right now, certainly by Democrats themselves, is not great. They don't feel like the leaders of the Democratic Party stand up and fight for us. What do you think needs to change within the Democratic Party, and especially to help people in the South with the things that you just talked about?
Yes. Well, for so long, this is why I continue to say don't count the South out, because so long people have always thought, oh, well, they're just going to have Jim Clyburn in South Carolina for the rest of their lives. That shouldn't just be our only option of having Democratic representation here. If they give us all the funding that they're putting into these blue states, we could also turn purple like Georgia, like North Carolina. But for some reason, places like South Carolina, Mississippi, Alabama, all these places that have been under Republican control, they're just seen as, oh, we're not going to waste our money there. But if you don't waste your money in these spaces, how are you supposed to build the infrastructure to then elect Democrats in these areas? And that was something that when I was doing research back at Howard, something that I really liked was how Black Voters Matter, they got the first Democratic senator in Alabama in over 30 years elected. And that was because they did grassroots work without the help of the party, because the party counted them out. But just think of how much sooner we could have had a senator in Alabama that was a Democrat. Had they had that financial representation, that financial support, that could have been done who knows how much before then, because grassroots can only go so far. It only has so much funding. Especially in South Carolina, our groups are starting to feel a little like, oh, we've been doing this for so long. When is the change going to come? And
Casey can speak to that.
I can.
Yes, and I really want everyone to have the option of having a strong, competitive Democrat in their district, and not just have someone that's being thrown up into the seat because we want to have someone opposing them on the ballot, but we're not actually putting our funds into them. We're not putting our support into them. And so I think that's something that I really want to push in South Carolina and move that into the South afterwards. But just continue to build the infrastructure that Georgia and North Carolina have been able to successfully build, especially in like the past 2 elections. So I think that's what I would be thinking about infrastructure wise.
You know, I have to give the party a little credit. I think that they are starting to pay attention to the South. And I say that because Mississippi just broke their
They did.
Republican
The supermajority.
right? So there's something to be said there, right? But, you know, our state party, I give them a lot of credit. They are doing a lot in a lot of these local races because it's where it starts. And that's going to help you to build when, you know, on your campaign. So I know the party doesn't do everything that everybody wants it to do.
But you're right, though. When you invest in those local campaigns, they're knocking on doors. They're knocking on the same doors that Courtney's going to have to knock.
Exactly. And so, I mean, and you campaigned with Counselor Flemming, and, you know, she won. But you know what? People know your face now, right? Because you went and knocked doors. So, you know, as much as funding has a lot to do with it, and y'all please, you know, give to your Democratic candidates. Not saying don't, but make sure you also volunteer. Because we need people knocking doors. That is how you will win.
Yes,
it is a ground game.
It is.
At the end of the day.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. It's a ground game. For as popular as he was, he still knocked on doors.
Oh, for sure.
Well,
Yes.
got that popular.
Record
It was an organic groundswell.
And
It
so
was.
don't ever take the ground game for granted.
Oh,
that is
never.
coming from the organizer in me.
Never.
The field director?
Yeah, the field director is here.
Yeah.
He's saying, please don't take that for granted.
No.
So, just going back to your core issues, you said that housing, schools, healthcare were your three most important. But of those three, which one would you say probably is the one, like if you had to choose one that you could only campaign on, which one would that be?
Oh my gosh.
That's a tough question.
That is, because those are the three things that I'm definitely most passionate about. Oh, if I can only do one. I'm trying to think which one would kind of cover multiple. I guess I would say healthcare, because that directly goes into your quality of life, and healthcare also covers multiple things, especially because legislation has already been introduced but has not been passed yet, but I wanted to also include dental and vision and insurance as well, and that would cover a lot of different things. And I think also a lot of people leave out abortion care and women's reproductive rights when it comes to healthcare. That is healthcare. And so I think I would say healthcare would be the one if I could only campaign on one issue, that's what it would be. And my mom, she's also a retired nurse. My grandfather was also a nurse, so healthcare.
So it runs in the family.
Yes. Gotcha. I'm not a nurse.
No, but healthcare.
Yeah.
Very happy you
Caring
said
for people.
dental and vision, because how can we have healthcare where we don't include crucial aspects of somebody's health?
Exactly.
It's always been kind of crazy to me.
Yeah.
And that's not just because I'm completely blind without the eye doctor. I appreciate you saying that. All of the things that you've said, you're obviously a true believer progressive, and I think that will connect with people. How do you win? How do you take those progressive values and connect them with voters who may not consider themselves progressive or may still think that that's somehow like a dirty word? How do you speak to those people? How do you win their vote?
Well, I think just looking at the current economy and looking at the current quality of life that people have, especially within this district, anyone who is seeing the negative side effects of these, they're going to be drawn to someone who is wanting to better their quality of life. And I think that a way of really talking to them is, I've been watching AOC and Bernie Sanders, how they've been going across the country, and they went to West Virginia, one of the reddest states, and they still drew out hundreds of people because they thought they saw someone that was listening to them and someone who could understand the issues and struggles that they were facing. And so I think for me, I really want to take that same approach where I'm going in and listening to what they have to say, as opposed to telling them, well, actually, this statistic says that the economy really is doing good. And it's like, people are telling you my groceries are going up. I'm not able to afford my rent. Childcare is inexpensive. listen to what I am telling you and try to help me on those issues. And so I think that's an approach that I want to take, is listening to people as opposed to telling them what XYZ statistic is saying or how the stock market is looking, because people are struggling now. And as long as we're able to speak to those struggles and really prove that we are listening to them and then turn that into our policy and turn that into our platform, I think that's something that will draw in people from both sides. Maybe not the farthest bits of each side, but those who reside somewhat in the middle or on kind of the moderate ends, I think we'll be able to create a good policy and a good turnout for those policy platforms.
And that'll turn out the base too.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me talking about how great the stock market is isn't a winning message for working class voters? I love when politicians tell me the stock market went up last year.
I've just always been.
What politician does it?
They all talk about the stock
They
market.
do. They talk. Yes.
Maybe I'm not following the right ones then.
No, the stock market has always been some barometer for the economy.
They have.
Like, it matters to
Yeah,
them.
well,
I mean,
I think when Trump started talking about eggs, everybody forgot the stock market. We're all looking at the price of eggs.
I mean, even Trump does it. He's like, the stock market is great.
Yes,
It's beautiful. And
correct.
it's like,
I mean, but that's Trump. Let's be real.
but they
Obama
listen.
used to harp on the stock market too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just
forgot
saying.
about
Sorry, I
that.
don't mean to
I
go off
forgot
track.
about that. Okay. I listen to different politicians, clearly. Anyways,
probably listen to
before we
progressives who
end,
don't say that
thank you,
nonsense.
Courtney, for being here with us. Please tell everybody how they can support you, where they need to go to do that.
Yes. So everything is on my websites as well as my social media. That is McClain for SC on social media, and then McClainforsC.com for my websites. And we're working on getting Twitter. I don't know. Twitter is such a
Really?
It's such a cesspool nowadays.
Why would you do that?
People have been requesting me to come on Twitter. So
X.
X, yeah. So, but right now we're on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So if you're on any of those platforms, we're on there. But we're working on expanding it out. Possibly it'll be under the same name though. But that's where you can go. And then we also, on my website, we have all of the upcoming events. So I'm currently doing a college tour. So the next college that I'll be going to, Winthrop has invited me there. So I'll be doing a panel with the AKA chapter, and we'll be talking about the influence of young Black women in politics and how they can get involved. And then I'll also be going to Clemson as well. This will be my third time going to Clemson this year. I've been going to Clemson a lot
wow.
this year. Yeah.
Okay, nice.
So doing Clemson, and then I've also been invited to go to the College of Charleston, which of course is way out of the district, but I really wanted to make sure that I'm connecting with everyone who was interested in getting involved in the campaign. So I really just want to make sure that I'm kind of hitting everywhere across the state, because anyone from across the state can also give you money into the show.
That is correct.
Yes, and once you get to Congress, you will be representing essentially the whole state. I mean,
Yes,
you are the representative.
yeah.
You would be the representative for this part of the state. But let's be real, every vote counts because it
Yes.
impacts everybody.
It does.
So, again, thank you so much for being with
Can I ask
us.
a bonus
We
question?
are sure.
I'm sorry, just something that came up. You announced a few weeks ago, right? What have you learned so far? What's been your favorite part of running? I know it seems like you hit the ground running, and you've been 0 to 100 since you kicked off.
I would say, I think this also just ties into me being an activist in my background. I really just love connecting with people and learning their stories. And then I really call my platform page that we have on the website, I really call it like a living platform, because when I hear people's stories or I hear different experiences that they've had, I always try to go back in and I'm like, oh, well, we could tailor this, and this could actually help more people nationally. This could help more people in South Carolina. So I think my favorite part has just been connecting with people, learning their stories, and I really can't wait till January when we really kick off so I can really start knocking on the doors, going to the businesses, connecting with different content creators, and just continuing to build on the momentum that we have and creating that solid supporter base moving forward. So I think that's been my favorite part so far.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You're not going to ask our least favorite
Sorry,
part?
Madam Chair, I yield the rest of my time.
I mean, we're asking favorite. It means we'll ask the least favorite, right? No, really. Thank you so much for being with us today,
Yeah, thank
Courtney.
you for
We
having me.
appreciate it. We are looking forward to seeing everything you will do on the campaign trail, and you know where to find us if you need us.
Of course.
This has been a privilege. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching along and listening along. We greatly appreciate you. Be sure to subscribe, to spread the word, to spread the links, etc., etc., etc. And I will promise to hit the record button next time when I need to. Thanks for joining. Bye-bye.